Hello, son. I did not dare hope to see you so soon, nor ever again hope to broker fate with a life to which I gave life. The lies I told you were a pox and poison to my soul, and now you are here because of them. Lies I thought might bury forever a truth I could not live with. I stand here ashamed of the choices I made so long ago, when you were just a boy. You are the memory, Fox. It lives in you. If you were to die now, the truth will die, and only the lies survive us.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Most Unwanted.
Hi.
Started for me to go on with the new season, I suppose.
Yeah.
Welcome to Most Unwanted, an X-Files podcast. I'm Chex, and I'm sure you've already heard Luke.
What are you talking about? just a bit of a joke there, guys.
A little bit of a joke to start us off.
A bit of comedy to start us back into this.
Yeah, this is season... I don't know whether we call it... Do we call it season 3 of the podcast?
Yeah, I classify it as seasons because...
We have a little break in between, yeah. I mean, do you still remember how to do this? This whole podcast malark?
I'll be honest, I've got to hope this works out well because, I ain't got time to record.
You've got a very busy couple of weeks. Well, that leads us nicely onto what have you been up to? We've been off for a long time. It's been a long time since we've done one of these. And what are you up to? How come you got so little time?
Well, it's been a busy time, and that sort of leads into why we've had this bit of an extended break, I guess, because we had the 4 episodes that we usually do in between the break. But I think we had a 2-week break, was it, or something like that?
Yeah, 2-3 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, basically, as I mentioned before, I've gone into the process of finalising my move into a new house, my first house. So that's all done now. So that's all done now, after all that process. A lot of painting. I mentioned it on the other podcast to do. I've not done anything but paint walls, basically, for weeks. But it's all done now. Moved everything in.
Starting to feel like a home.
Yeah. We've had our first few home crises while you're there, where something's gone wrong. But it's a lot better now because at least it's all your own thing. So you go, we can just do this, do that. And yeah. But yeah, it feels good to finally just have done it now. And it's just little jobs that you're doing here and there. So
I think the break came at just the right time for you, really, didn't it? Because I don't think we could have... I mean, with editing and recording schedules, I don't think we could have done it whilst you're moving. Especially
with what's coming up as well. So yeah, it was...
Tell us.
We'll get to that first. Let's get through what's happened since.
Happened since?
So we've done one for me, one for you. What's something that's happened in your life since we last finished?
Well, I mean, I had the happiest day of my life.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know whether... I think we've spoke about it briefly.
And he's not got married.
I've not got married yet. That's later on this year.
So that'll be number 2.
Yeah, that'll be number 2 on the list of the happiest days of my life. So I'm looking forward to that. 2 and 2 year in a year. That's good.
The depressing thing is, Gem's outside. I can hear walking behind the door. So this is quite traumatic, to be honest, to be part of this.
Yeah, as I may have mentioned in the past, I'm not quite sure. I am a huge Liverpool Football Club fan, and we got to the Champions League final. I went back up to Liverpool from where I'm from.
For American fans, what would you say is the equivalent of the Champions League final in sort of American sports terms?
I would say probably the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's weird though because the Super Bowl is just American teams, whereas the Champions League final is
all of Europe.
Yeah,
so we've got obviously the English league. But it's so that it's the top teams of each league around Europe all go up against each other in a big knockout tournament. And yeah, Liverpool got to the final this year, and we won it. Mm-hmm. And I managed to make it back to Liverpool, where I'm originally from. watched it with the entire city, it felt like, because you couldn't move.
Apart from the Everton fans.
Apart from the Everton fans, yeah. But you couldn't move on the streets. Yeah. It was absolutely phenomenal. I'm not ashamed to say that final whistle came, and I celebrated, and then I just sobbed. I absolutely broke down. The pure emotion and adrenaline and everything, and I've never been happier. It was the best day, honest to God.
And I can concur all that, because I've seen video footage of him with the highest pitch scream I've ever heard. The only thing that compared was that time we made you play Alien Isolation.
Yeah, I did jump out of my skin.
Yeah, that's the only other time I've heard that noise. So this time of joy.
Exactly. That's what you want. I mean, weddings got a lot to live up to. Let's just say that. Yeah. It looks like we've had a busy couple of weeks.
It's been a few good TV. Well, there's been a few TV series that we've finished up of as well. I know you've not we've been talking about Game of Thrones a lot leading up to it.
Yeah, a lot of controversy on Game of Thrones.
Now, I don't think we should talk about the ending here.
No.
Because maybe right at the end we might have a quick...
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that.
Yeah, but a quick, because we don't want people to, go, no, we're not listening to that.
Yeah.
Also, it's not a Game of Thrones podcast, so...
No.
Yeah.
That'll be on our next podcast.
in 3 years' time, or when we finish. So that finished, which, as you mentioned, controversial, I guess.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Overall, I thought it was okay. The ending, a little bit flat. I thought the very last note was a little bit flat, but we've had 10 years of, good TV.
It's some of the best TV, to be honest.
I feel like some people get too worked up on the ending sometimes and forget about the journey.
But I feel like, isn't that mirrored in the X-Files as well? Because this is complete conjecture, because I don't know. Obviously, as everyone knows, I've not seen it. But I feel like I see a lot of negative reactions to, especially the later seasons, when it came back. I do sense that there's a lot of negativity around that.
Yeah.
But so that'll be interesting to see whether we have that same reaction to the X-Files. I'm not sure.
Also, we've got to remember as well, there's no hype behind X-Files for us. We're watching it just fresh. Yeah. So there's no sort of...
Yeah, you don't build up with everyone week after week.
Yeah. At the moment, but we'll see.
I wonder if that was a thing. I mean, it must have been, wasn't it?
Yeah. The same, yes, because it was 9 series or something, the original run.
I used to know people that would rush back to the house to watch Buffy.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can't imagine it being any different. Yeah. But I just wondered whether the rise of social media changed that at all. But I suppose people find ways to talk about things regardless, don't they?
I find now that there's more of a... we've seen this a lot before with Twitter and stuff like that. There's a mob mentality that if it's something that everybody's universally saying is good, you sort of get shouted at for saying it's bad.
Yeah, and vice versa.
So I feel and you sort of get caught up in this avalanche of
Yeah, and it's either the worst thing in the world or absolute perfection.
Yeah, there's no in between.
There isn't now. But speaking of absolute perfection, I would like to talk about one more thing.
Oh yeah, okay.
We've been watching Chernobyl.
Yeah. The highest
absolutely
rated,
fantastic show.
The highest rated show on IMDb ever
of all time,
which is mental because
insane.
I didn't even have any expectation going into it. I literally saw an advert for it on. I think it was on Now TV because in the UK
it was.
We've got basically Sky, but
whilst watching Game of Thrones.
Imagine. So Game of Thrones before it comes on, it has an advert for other TV shows and stuff that are shown on there. And it was just an advert for Chernobyl, and I was like, oh, this looks really good. I'll give this a go. So the first episode, and I think by the second episode, I didn't really care. Game of Thrones finished at the end. I was sort of I just want to watch a new Chernobyl episode. I sort of forgotten about Game of Thrones.
I have got one more left, the finale I've not seen. I know you have. Mm-hmm. And I cannot wait. I'm literally, right after this podcast, I'm going to watch the finale.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, let's get straight on to this episode. So, as I failed to mention in the intro, this is episode 57, I believe. 57 of Most Unwanted. And we are looking at a brand new season of The X-Files. Mm-hmm. Season 3, episode 1. It's a continuation from last season.
It is, yeah.
Which is nice, a nice, interesting way of doing things.
It's a weird way that they sort of had an episode. The last episode is the first part of 3. Which is we have had a 3-parter technically, but it's been sort of split off in the last series.
Yeah,
and it's not been stretched over 2 series. So yeah.
I did get to have that sense. Not quite as much, but that sense of having to wait in between seasons because we've taken a bit of a break this time, where I came back to this and I forgot everyone's names. I just kind of forgot what had happened to people, so I had to sort of have a quick refresher. But yeah, anyway, this episode's called The Blessing Way, directed by R.W. Goodwin, written by Chris Carter, and it originally aired September 22nd, 1995. We are racing through the years here, Luke.
I know, yeah.
So, should we just get straight into it?
Let's get straight into it.
Well, actually, before we get straight into it, I would like to have a quick caveat. Doing things a little bit different today. I had issues with my internet when I tried to watch the episode, so I decided, no problem. I will just stream it on my phone. And then I realised that I'd have to flick between the Notes app and the episode. Can you guess how long that took to get boring?
I don't even want to guess how long that would have taken you to do it, all of it.
I gave it about 2 minutes and I decided, you know what, I'm just going to watch the episode. So it's going to be a bit more of a broader view than usual, but we're still going to get the points. I'm going to use my good old friends at X-Files Wiki. They're going to give me the good old points of what happens, and we'll just have a broader sense of the episode as a whole. I hope no one minds. It saved me 3 hours last night.
Honestly, I've tried that before, where it's like trying to flip between apps, and it's damn near impossible.
It does not work, yeah.
It ruins the episode as well for you, because you just resent what
I
you're
actually
doing.
quite enjoyed watching it, just getting invested and not taking notes, because I haven't done that for a good while. And especially for this season, where I had to quite remember what happened last episode. I enjoyed it, so yeah, I think it definitely helped.
It's lucky that it gave the recap at the beginning.
Yeah,
I think. But
yeah.
I'll let you do your rundown, and I'll add points in.
Well, like you said, we had the recap at the beginning, but we start off for this episode in Two Great Hills, New Mexico, and we first see a fire burning from the trailer that we know Mulder was in at one point. Obviously, the explosion had gone off. Big CGI fire flying into the air from this. And we get a voiceover from Albert Hosteen.
Who we met in the last episode.
Yeah.
There is an ancient Indian saying that something lives only as long as the last person who remembers it. My people have come to trust memory over history. Memory, like fire, is radiant and immutable. While history serves only those who seek to control it, those who would douse the flame of memory in order to put out the dangerous fire of truth. Beware these men, for they are dangerous themselves and unwise. Their false history is written in the blood of those who might remember and of those who seek the truth.
It's quite an interesting. It sort of explains what's going on and what's happening, and in a very philosophical way.
And there's one thing in that sort of clip that I did sort of like. They was talking about being remembered, which reminded me a lot of Coco, in that sort of like that their traditions sort of venerate that memory and remembering of people. It's quite similar sort of concept, I suppose.
I mean, talking about Coco, I absolutely loved Coco.
Yeah.
And the reason why I loved Coco was because this theme of sort of memory and sort of being remembered even after you've gone is something everyone can get behind. It's something that everyone can relate to. And it's something that we can all sort of get emotionally invested in as well. I think that there's not one person that's out there saying, well, I want to be forgotten. No one thinks that.
I think it's universal, isn't it? That everyone wants to be remembered, usually for good things.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, so yeah, good intro, I thought. It just sets the scene for sort of what we've got for this next episode. And then we get straight to it. We see Albert and his family approached by a load of soldiers, basically. They don't talk. They come in, they're already fighting. They bloody Hostine's lip. His son looks absolutely battered.
Yeah, he looks terrible. Like he's got black eye and just not looking great.
And it's all trying to find Mulder because obviously they didn't find him in the trailer. But they're not giving any whereabouts. Even though, like, I think one of the agents does say his car's parked outside. We know he's here. Yeah, but they're not talking.
Do you know what? After finishing this episode, and like looking back on it now, a lot of the stuff that the cigarette smoking man instigates, especially in his hunt for Mulder, doesn't come across as this what we've seen before as this conniving sort of well together and like always planning ahead. It seems like he's scrambling and panicking.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Especially he's just bursting in, like smashing stuff up and just trying to find anything. It doesn't feel as in control as he did at the beginning.
Not to jump ahead too much, but there's a scene in the next episode which is a great sort of portrayal of that.
I was thinking about that as well because it's hard to talk about this one in a vacuum, knowing that we've seen the second one as well.
Yeah, they are both so intrinsically linked.
Yeah, we'll try and keep it just to this one now, especially knowing what's to come.
So after that, we see Scully. She's on the road. She realizes she's being pursued by a helicopter. I love these low-flying helicopters that you see in TV shows, which it would just never happen. Like the amount of danger you're putting everyone in at that point. But this helicopter lands in front of them and basically arrests her almost.
Yeah. Just feels like everything's on lockdown, pretty much.
Yeah. They're looking for the files. She directs them straight to the files. And when they ask for the digital copy, she says Mulder has it. They let it go. There was a little bit of a gripe I had with a lot of different things in these next two episodes, or let's just stick to this one. For some, let's call them, because I know we later find out they're called the Syndicate. Yeah. That's what I keep on reading online.
I've heard another name as well now, like the Syndicate I keep hearing, and the Consortium is another word, so I don't know which one's it. Maybe it's just but then again, we've had Cigarette Smoking Man and Cancer Man as well, so maybe it's just different names.
Well, I will get to that when we see this group. I will get to that, but we'll leave that until a little bit later because I've got a few things on that myself. But yes, so we know this mysterious group that are so panicked, they're so desperate to make sure this doesn't leak into the wrong hands. Don't you feel like if that group was as desperate as they was and as ruthless as they've shown to be, they'd just start killing people? They let a lot of people go that know a lot of things. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I did think that at some points that I thought there'd be questions about people being murdered, but I think there'd be a lot less if they were just dead. Yeah. And I mean, they do later on try to... Yeah, to an extent, they do. So, I get the feeling it's different people having different ideas on what to actually do. Yeah. So maybe that's me explaining the problem away. Is just that some people aren't going to be as heavy-handed in it. Yeah. Whereas Cigarette Smoking Man sort of seems like his neck's on the line, so he's just sort of like just do this, do that. Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, his neck's on the line because he has the worst taste in assassins. Yeah. But we'll get to that. Anyway, they take this the original folder and they take it with them. But they do leave her unharmed. And when she returns to Washington, the FBI puts Scully on mandatory leave. Forces her to turn in a badge and a gun. And the first thing she does after this conversation, where she's sort of been told, cease the investigation. You until we hear the whereabouts of Mulder, we don't care. Yeah. First thing she does is go to Mulder's office, look under the desk. We know she's going to go for the tape, but it's not there. It's just the tape where it was stuck.
Yeah. I like that scene as well, just as Scully absolutely laying into Skinner. And Skinner does actually feel quite powerless in this episode. It's only in the second episode where he sort of gets his voice back, I guess. Yeah. You know what I mean?
What's the line when he says something, I'm just off the top of my head but he says something to her along the lines of, we've got this under control, you've got to leave this to us. Yeah. And she turns around and just absolutely scathingly turns around and says, I think you overestimate your position in the food chain, or something along them lines.
Which
I was like, oh, God.
Proper cuts up about it, but then he brings that up later on. So
Yeah, he does. He gets it back.
It cuts both ways. It's like,
I think Skinner, there's just a cat looking at me through the see it?
oh yeah.
Just staring at me, it was.
Wait there, I've got to see this cat. Oh, yeah, he's just...
Is it Ginger?
No, he's black and white. He's looking around now, he's looking at bugs.
Oh, no, it is the same one, because he's Ginger on the back.
Oh, he's just...
We call him Patch.
Patch.
Yeah,
That's a nice little interlude there, wasn't it?
Yes, so sorry.
Sorry, guys. I'll leave that in.
I think Skinner is, especially after this episode, I think Skinner simply knows how to play the game.
I think we think that he's been like not cowardly, but you know what I mean. Like he's sort of staying quiet on things, but I think that's on purpose because he knows that he needs to be in that position to do what needs to be done.
Yeah,
because if he starts doing things that Mulder and Scully are doing, he's going to lose his job, and that's it. And then all the power is gone. Yeah, there's no investigation.
If going back to the sort of Game of Thrones analogy, he sort of reminds me a little bit of like the Littlefinger.
Yeah,
where Mulder and Scully have got this obvious sort of goal, and they won't stop at anything to reach that goal. And obviously the Syndicate have the exact same thing. They're ruthless. He's the only one playing the game. He's playing both sides.
So he always comes out on top.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But do you know what I mean? Like, I
never thought I'd work in Always Sunny reference.
I just found it very interesting. I do, because I've stopped thinking, oh, is he turning on them? Because I know he's not.
Yeah.
I know he's just in this position that he's forced in, but that he has to be in to survive.
Yeah.
Or at least to get answers.
Yeah. It does feel like that, doesn't it? When you're watching his scenes, like, I don't know. I just think he's great, and the acting by is it Mitch Pileggi? I think that's the guy who plays.
I don't know his name.
I just think he's great at portraying it, as well as this guy who is. I think ultimately he's doing the right thing, but he needs to sort of, as you said, play both sides. So to get what he needs to do, basically. Yeah,
I've got no doubt that he's doing the right thing.
Is that cat still there?
It's honestly, it moves to get a better view of us, and it looks away as soon as you look.
We've got an audience.
Honestly, he just keeps staring at me. Anyway, so we'll move on to the next scene, and we actually see the Syndicate now.
Yeah,
we focus in on the Smoking Man, and then we see what I've later found out to be the Syndicate, and this is what I wanted to talk to you about before. There's a lot of... Sorry, carry on.
We see their base, basically.
We see
where
it's like a sort of...
Their HQ is.
Yeah, it's like a cigarette smoking room, isn't it? It's like cigar room.
Yeah. I mean, they had to with cigarettes.
Obviously, yeah.
You can't keep going outside.
There's a lot of names in here of... I've actually... Looking at details of the episodes, I know some of the names. They... Even Cigarette Smoking Man, they never gave him that name. And we've only known that because that's what we've seen on fan base sites and whatnot. I've seen The Elder. I've seen Perfectly Groomed Man or something like that.
Well manicured man.
Is that the...
Yeah.
I don't know whether was these names intended, or is that what people call them?
I feel like that's what people call them until they get a name, and even then they've probably just kept that name because it's what everybody knows them as.
Yeah, I don't
know. I'm not sure.
But I don't like... It's really difficult to take notes.
I started shortening it now to... When I'll say, obviously, Cigarette Smoking Man, but I just write CSM, and Well Manicured Man is WMM.
Oh, so, nice. Fair enough.
Just shorten everything.
I don't know which one's Well Manicured Man, I'm not going to lie.
The Well Manicured Man is the guy who... We'll get to this bit in a bit later, but it's the guy who talks to Scully at the funeral.
Is it?
Yeah.
So who's the Elder?
I have no idea.
Okay, we'll sort this out.
Yeah.
There is just one little note, and I don't know whether this is important, but there was a guy that reminded me of a mafia boss.
I don't recognise that guy.
Big guy, sort of like this sort of... I don't know what it was about him, but that he just looked like a don. Do you know what I mean? And and I don't know whether that was like meant to be like that. I don't know. Like I'm talking about like maybe this group consisted of higher positions and all like the different walks of life. Do you know what I mean?
What if the aliens have a crime connection as well? They're not only seeding DNA, they're seeding alien drugs onto the street. Now, that's a TV show I want to watch.
Everyone getting high on space cakes.
Space, yeah. That's space dust.
Imagine. I mean, yeah, the marketing does itself, because you wouldn't have to think of a name. Just call it what it is on that planet. Simple.
Call it what it is on that planet. We can't even pronounce this. That's how good it is. That's what happens when you're in that state. I don't think there's no.
No. So anyway, all these guys are in suits.
Yeah.
They look important. And the group are questioning Cigarette Smoking Man on the whereabouts of the tape.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, he looks a little bit shook up. We know he's lying to them on certain things. We know he's not being truthful. So from that, we can deduce that it's not the free-flowing organisation we've always been led to believe.
Yeah.
It's more of this sort of power dynamic even within the group.
Yeah, it definitely feels like everyone's out to get each other.
Yeah.
And trying to sort of, better their position. I don't know if there is a ranking structure amongst them. Because they all seem equal.
They do at this point.
But we don't know.
But this is the first time we've seen them.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is an interesting point. And I kind of like this sort of behind-the-curtains glimpse of who they're against and what they're fighting, because it did make it feel a lot more scary, the fact that it's not like this sort of big military operation. It's literally 10 dudes in a room, and they've just got so much power that they can do whatever they want.
Pretty much, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
feel like this has got a lot of like allegories to like stuff in real life, though. Have you ever heard of that group in... I can't remember what their name is now, but there's a group, not Illuminati and stuff like that, but there is a group of like wealthy guys who meet up at like this lodge in America. I can't remember what it's called. And apparently at this lodge, no one's ever... Oh, shit. Shouldn't be talking. He's the assassin cat.
Sorry. I just threw you completely off, but he just kind of crawling towards me.
Yeah, you never know who's listening.
I know, yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Tibbles in this case. Is that the cat name? I don't know.
Tibbles, I like it.
Yeah. Has anyone got a cat? If anyone has a cat that's called Tibbles, let us know.
Let us know.
Or if they know a cat called Tibbles. Or if that's just a made-up name.
No, Tibbles. No, we're going with it. Tibbles the cat.
Yeah.
You can be our mascot.
Yeah. Yeah, if we ever have merch, then we'll have a cat.
Most unwanted merch, and it's all cats.
What is this podcast about? But there's this group of like wealthy men in America who meet up. They go to this lodge. I don't know where in America it is, but apparently stuff gets discussed there, and there's no record of what actually happens there. But it's all like super powerful men, like presidents go there. Owners of like big companies, and it's all fodder for some kind of conspiracy story.
Yeah, of
you know what I
course.
mean? Like, but because it's so undocumented, I mean, there might just be, I don't know, playing poker or something.
Yeah,
Who knows? Big money poker, I would imagine.
I don't mention madness there.
But so you can sort of see where these stories come from.
Yeah,
I guess.
definitely. They definitely draw from things like that.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to push this point, but similarities to the way the mafia's run.
Yeah.
Where you've got like these sort of key men at the top just making all the decisions. Anyway, we see Mulder, and he's alive. Basically, we get this sort of voiceover again about how animals survive in the desert and what the desert can do to you. But we do find Mulder, and he's found buried under some rocks near the buried boxcar. I think the insinuation is here that he buried himself.
Yeah, I'm not sure what actually happened with that one.
They do mention that if he hadn't got under those, if he hadn't been buried, he wouldn't have survived
the explosion. Yeah.
I think the insinuation was that he crawled under them. He got out of the boxcar because he was underground. He said they stayed underground.
Yeah.
But he wasn't that far underground, so I'm guessing he came up and then buried himself to protect himself in the desert. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's not really explained very well. I didn't find this part, but he survived.
He survived.
Well, that's what we don't know initially. Like, I thought, what's actually happened to him? I knew, really, he's not going to be dead.
Yeah.
Also, one thing that happened before then as well, Scully, you have to make that distinction because of what happens later on, goes home to her mum's, and she basically meets up with her mom and says that she's made a mistake.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just a short scene. It's not really too important.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically Costin has Mulder taken to basically a sweat lodge.
Yeah.
And he, in the voiceover, it mentions that he's going to be healed using a ceremony called a blessing way. A ritual, if you will.
For 3 days, the Blessing Way chant was performed. The FBI man suffered great fevers, and his body burned like fire. There was doubt that he would recover, but the spirits were in attendance. Because on the night of the 3rd day, he opened his eyes and asked for water. The ritual bath must be given outside the Hogan before sunrise. The FBI man was weak from his journey and did not wish to speak. But like a rising sun, I sensed in him a rebirth. Still, it will take time to regain his strength.
And
this is where I had my moment again.
Yeah. This is the bit of the episode I didn't like.
I was the same.
I didn't enjoy this part of the episode. I really enjoyed Scully's story, but this, it was a bit weird. Anyway, during the ritual, Mulder has basically, it looks like he's teleporting up, and then it's
sort of an out-of-body experience, basically.
Yeah, he's lying and he's in space, and we see deep throats. Oh, I was so angry. One episode away from my prediction coming true, Luke. I said, if everyone would like to go back, season 2 predictions, I said Deep Throat would help Mulder from beyond the grave. Now, that's a bold prediction to make, considering that guy's dead.
Yeah.
But I had it in my head that this was going to happen, and it didn't happen, and I took that one on the chin.
You took it out because you thought, that ain't going to happen.
Well, it's not going to happen now. Yeah. It's been a season. Season 3, episode 1, Deep Throat's there in all his glory.
I like to imagine the listeners who have seen the series before listening to that episode and just bursting out laughing as soon as you take it out. Just because they're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing, isn't it? Oh, it just annoys me so much. But he also has a ghostly apparition of his father. And both of them urge him to sort of basically get better. And they're both talking about the sort of search for truth and the sort of how his mission is important. None of them are forcing him to go. But they are suggesting that he should go.
Yeah.
I think the hint is here that he's in between worlds.
Yeah. I guess so. It's this sort of... Because I didn't know if this is a hallucination that's been caused or if this is sort of like with Scully in the episode where she was in a coma, where it's like sort of hinted at that she's...
In another plane.
Yeah, I don't know. Sort of like in between death and life.
I thought it was a hallucination at first until... the comment about his sister. And he does say to his father, is my sister here? And his father said no.
Yeah.
Which suggests she's still alive somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think that for me said, okay, this is some part of this ritual allows you to converse with the dead.
Yeah. One thing with this as well, Mulder, he's looking a lot older since the last series.
I didn't recognise him.
Yeah. He looks
I thought maybe
older.
I just didn't remember him that well, but he does look different.
Maybe he's downstairs. It's been tough on him.
Maybe... Did they change the actor?
No, I think it's the same guy. He just looks a lot older, but they must have either filmed it at the same time or not long after. Because it's only... I think the last series finished in February when it was something like March. Yeah. And then this one started in September, and it's like... He aged a lot in 6 months. I don't understand. But yeah, or maybe it was the effects. I don't know. The effects were weird. I found with this scene.
Yeah,
a bit weird.
It was just generic green screen.
Yeah, because there was a part where he just sort of his body, top half of his body, just sort of floated as the background kept changing. I was like, I gave it leeway because I thought it's 1995 and it's on TV. It's not going to have big budget. So I was like, okay, I understand, but. It does look a bit hokey now in 2019.
Yeah, exactly. I could have done without all this sort of out-of-body experience, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
The story that I did like was Scully's, and we go there now to for Hickey, who's visiting Scully at her apartment.
Yeah. because we hear that knock on the door, don't we? First, we don't know who it is.
Yes.
I just thought, man, that must be terrifying for her. Like,
God, she's got to be on edge constantly.
Yeah.
But it is for Hickey, and he shows her a newspaper article about Kenneth Sooner's murder. So he was obviously the guy that sort of gave him the disc in the first place.
I like that for Hickey. His opening cap bit was that he could be shouldered to cry on. I was like, he's still trying.
Still trying. You've got to love a tryer.
But he's a nice guy. He's doing the nice thing, but yeah, he's kind of creepy at the same time.
There was a sort of... I love the look when Scully opened the door and you could tell Scully suddenly became aware she was in a dressing gown. And you could tell for Hickey suddenly became aware she was in a dressing gown, but like it wasn't the important issue at the time, so they sort of both bypassed it. And then Scully's like, "How much have you had to drink?" You know what I mean? I like him. I really like Hickey.
I think
he's got good intentions, hasn't he? And
I think that the Lungo men are always a treat. Just the three of them. The only one I'm not too keen on is the guy with long hair,
the blonde guy.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about him. I don't even know what his name is. What's his name?
So the other guy's called Bias. Oh, I know people listening are screaming at me now, like his name, but I always forget it. He's the one I sort of forget because we
don't know him that well.
He's quite. He doesn't really have too, apart from being like scared of technology and scared of surveillance. He doesn't seem to have a personality yet.
Yeah,
I'm hoping he gets fleshed out more because for Hickey is.
He reminds me of the guy from Wayne's World.
That's all I always think of.
Yeah.
Should we just call him Garth from now on?
Garth, yeah. There we go, sorted.
Until we actually find out his name. He's Garth.
Scully then returns to the FBI. Obviously, she's got to go through the normal entrance, as she's not an agent anymore.
With all the chuckleheads doing the tour.
Yeah, exactly. She goes through the metal detectors, and it goes off. Yeah,
as soon as this started happening, I was like, okay. I had a feeling.
I didn't pick up on this until afterwards, until they made a point of doing it again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I didn't pick up on this for some reason.
Because it was
I thought she might have been carrying a gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I had the feeling because they made a point of it that I was like, she's going to have some kind of like implant or something. Like, I didn't know what it was going to be, but like it was going to be some kind of implant. Whether it was alien or whether it was the Syndicate. Or, I didn't know who'd put it there, but I had a feeling there was going to be some kind of implant in it.
Well, we do know that something was done to her when she disappeared.
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
But anyway, they sort of make a little bit of an issue of it, but they sort of breeze past it. And Scully ends up in Skinner's office and presents him with a newspaper article. She says that because the Skinner's death happened only a few days after, maybe the sort of ballistic reports can sort of match the two together, proving that Muldad's murder could have been connected somehow, and that would, it would help Mulder, basically.
I like how we keep calling him Mulder because the next episode has got some really tense scenes where I've just put, and then he asks why Muldad was murdered. It sort of ruins the tension. We've made a rod for our own back.
Yeah, and we're sticking to it.
Yeah.
Skinner does what Skinner does. He refuses to help.
Yeah, he plays hardball.
He does, yeah. And basically just tells her to leave, go home, leave it to us. And as she leaves, Cigarette Smoking Man reveals that he was in the other room the entire time.
Yeah.
And he does question Skinner about what happened, and Skinner says she doesn't have the tape. It's nice and simple, she doesn't have the tape. So Scully leaves, and like this is what you said before happens. She has a hunch. She goes through the metal detectors again, and he asks him to sort of go across her with the rod a few more times, and they find it goes off around her neck.
Yeah. I really like this guy who was the security guy.
The nicest guy in the world.
He's brilliant. He's great. Like I don't
not very good at his job, as he did let her through regardless.
Yeah, well, it's Scully. Like
Scully
clearly has a backstory with Scully. Like so, I wish we'd seen more of this character, but I get the feeling he's a one and done. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. He's
the adventures of the security and the FBI. Well, we can all dream.
Scully does go to see a doctor, and basically she has it. Sees this metal implant in her neck. She has it removed, and as they both look at it through a microscope, they realise that it kind of looks like a chip, which is quite obvious at this point that it's some sort of tracking device. I'd imagine.
Yeah, looks like a really tiny and complex like computer chip.
Yeah.
Probably, I get
it doesn't look like a human computer chip. Is that, you know what I mean?
That's what I thought, because it was so advanced, and this is like, what, 95? I was like, this has to be something alien, you know what I mean? Like, it's too small and too complex.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think... I mean, look at chips these days. They're still not that small, so...
Well, Scully and her sister, Melissa, who, I'm not going to lie, I didn't know who this was before they explicitly say,
Oh,
you're my
really?
sister, Melissa. Like, I just completely forgot her face. I really had.
Right. What was the last episode she was in?
It was the one where Scully had the out-of-body experience. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah. I get the feeling I thought we'd had more like episodes with her in.
I don't think so. I think we only had those like 2. But yeah, she's still up to her old ways of pushing her hypnotherapist techniques and her crystals.
I thought that, yeah. I was like, give it a rest.
Yeah, like even the worst moments, but she is trying to help.
She reminds me of a female Mulder, basically. She's just
a little bit.
What's Scully's to go in there and just getting it from both sides. She's like, God damn it.
Well, this is all because Scully wants to know what happened while she was abducted.
Yeah.
But she just can't remember, and that's the only time she can think of that the implant was planted. She does end up being talked around.
Oh, before we carry on, I completely forgot about something. Do you know when Mulder's going through the hallucination scene? There's a scene in there of basically he has a flashback, because I just saw flashback on another part, and it reminded me. He has like a flashback of the aliens in the boxcar. Do you remember that scene?
Yes.
And like they throw cyanide, isn't it, in a grenade? That basically that's what happened to them, to those. What we find out later is like hybrid kind of things in there.
Yeah. Basically, that's what it's implied.
Yeah. So I thought that was a good scene as well, like to sort of show. I mean, the effects of the aliens running around are in 1995, but I bought into that more than I did him floating around like on the green screen.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed that side of things, and again, it leaves that just enough mystery where you're just not quite sure what's going on. Still,
sorry to go back, but I just
no, it's fine. As I say, I'm doing it a lot more broadly this time anyway, so feel free to just jump in. She does go and have this therapy session. She starts to. It kind of works. She starts to pick up little details, a few little details more, but she just stopped the session short because it's too much for her.
I was waiting for this is what reminded me of it. I was waiting for a jump scare, like flashback in this part. Yeah. Because like she was there recounting stuff, and I was waiting for that big, the X-Files where it goes to white and you see. Yeah. I was waiting for that. Didn't happen, so they subverted my expectations there at least.
They did. Well. Speaking of subverting your expectations, Scully goes back home after this and finds Skinner sneaking out of her apartment. Skinner, what are you up to?
Yeah, I was struggling to trust him at this point. Like, I mean, later on we know why he's doing this, that and the other, but at this point I was like, what is he up to? Like, whose side is he actually on? Yeah,
I don't think I was. See, this is kind of an issue, and it's no one's fault. But this is the issue I've had. I'm convinced Skinner is a good guy.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, and this is why I'd never bought into this, and I'll tell you why. Because he's been such a good character, and me and you have both enjoyed him immensely throughout the last season.
Yeah.
And we've said as much. And the response that we're getting back from people who listen to the podcast is, how great a character is he? Which to me says he's a good guy. Do you know what I mean? All the way through, because people love him.
Yeah, because unless they do a massive turn.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's like the best bad guy in the world, because I suppose people love, like, Moriarty from Sherlock, you know what I mean? But I just get the feeling he's a good guy, so I always had it in my head that there's a reason for this.
Yeah. Before we carry on, the way at the moment, it's gone dark in the room. I don't know if this will be in the podcast, but I'm just going to narrate it anyway, and I need to take a picture. It's gone dark in the room, but your phone has still got quite a lot of light on it.
Okay.
So at the moment, do you remember Are You Afraid of the Dark when they were about to read a scary story? This is the current look of... I got it at the wrong time. I might... We'll post that one on the
we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we might do.
Anyway, sorry about that, I'm distracting there.
But we don't find out what happens with this Skinner just yet. Mulder he's sort of recovering from the blessing way ritual at this point. Strangely is told not to bathe or change clothes for 4 days.
Yeah, I love that he makes a joke of this as well.
Of course, he was always going to make a joke. The best part wasn't the joke, though. The best part was the hearty laugh everyone shared.
It's the first joke I've heard in ages, apparently.
There was a lovely moment, though.
Yeah.
His boy, Albert's boys, bring him a present, something that he was talking about when he was in his sort of delirious state. And it was a bag, and he opens the bag, and it's a load of sunflower seeds. Yeah, this was a lovely little moment.
I love this.
Great callback.
Yeah, exactly what I wrote. Good callback, because it's just... I love these things in TV shows when it pays off to be a long-time watcher. Because with the X-Files, you could probably get away with jumping in at series 2 or 3 or something like that. And you could pick it up because, as you mentioned earlier, there's oh, you're my sister, like filling in the blanks for people. But this is something where it's like, if you've watched it from the beginning, he does that. Why he does it? Because he's explained it. It's like, it's brilliant.
I really enjoyed this. And I also enjoy it for the simple fact that all this outer-worldly stuff's going on. It brings the character right back down to, this is just a guy that loves sunflower seeds. Do you know what I mean? It's just this like nice basic thing that he's just a normal guy. Like all he wanted when he was in his delirious state was just to chew on something. You know what I mean?
Basically, yeah.
It would be like a smoker wanting a smoke. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's the same thing. So yeah, that happens, and he's recovering slowly but surely. Scully, we now see, heads to Boston, and she's attending Mulder's funeral.
Yeah. See what I mean about ruining it?
I'm still going for it.
We've got to stay the course.
Mulder is sad. She's very sad. And they do mention that Mulder couldn't be there. But after the service, Scully goes up to Mulder and basically says to her, I think I've got a hunch that Mulder's okay, nothing to go on, but I think he's going to be all right. And they have a little long conversation.
Yeah.
But interrupted by... Well, not interrupted, but once the conversation's over, the well-manicured man, as I now know he is, introduced himself. I'll say this now. I still can't figure out well-manicured man.
Yeah. I don't know his intentions at all.
I think he's a good guy, but I don't know why I think he's a good guy.
He reminds me of Deep Throat, but he's more entrenched into the bad side than Deep Throat was. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what? But he's very different because... where Deep Throat just has mysteries around him, well-manicured man just tells everybody everything. It's I don't understand. Like, he just goes... so I'll get into this. He warns her that she's about to be killed, either by a pair of assassins or by someone she knows, and goes into detail on all this. Later on, he reports back everything that she said to the syndicate. I just can't figure out whose side he's on. I really can't. But I mean, that's a good character, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing the development in this guy.
I quite like when he said that she was going to be killed by someone she knows, because then it sets everyone of her family up as, not family, but every one of her colleagues as a potential
and of course
killer.
Everyone that we know.
Because I think after this, they sort of set up as Melissa calls her, Skinner, and then we also see later on Mulder enter as well, and you think it could be any of them, right at this point, and we know that they can shapeshift, so it's, it's potential that it could happen.
Well, without a doubt. We cut then to Mulder. He goes to Massachusetts, and he's questioning Mulder. Well, he does introduce himself, obviously. Hi, Mulder, I'm still alive.
Still.
But he questions her about an old photo.
Do you reckon he calls her Mulder?
Yeah, definitely. Like you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
What would your mum and dad be called with the last name of Costin? This is way more difficult than I thought it would be.
The thing, I think Mulder sort of lends to mom and dad, with the M and the D.
Yeah. It's easy, innit?
Yeah, really. I don't know of any of those letters. So yeah, he's asking his Mulder about an
an old photo of his father standing with like the other members of the syndicate that we saw from the last episode. She's being very cagey. She keeps saying that she doesn't remember or she doesn't know who their names were or changing her story. But I think everyone can sort of tell she's just not saying.
Yeah, she's trying to keep it under wraps.
Yeah.
One thing to note here, he was specifically instructed not to wear clothes for so many days. He's wearing a shirt.
I mean, we don't know how many days it's been, I suppose. Because they have been to a funeral and back in this time.
I suppose.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on this one.
Yeah, I'll let you off.
You just want to see Mulder without a shirt.
No,
you sly old dog.
I want to see how he gets around. Just in, like, what was he wearing? Some kind of like poncho thing?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Just walking stalkers down the street with that. See how that goes.
So this is where what you was talking about happens. Melissa calls Scully, tells her she's coming over, because she hadn't heard from her since she had the operation. She then receives a call from somebody who immediately hangs up, which always puts you on edge, regardless of the situation, let alone if you've been told someone's coming to kill you.
Yeah.
Scully then goes to leave her apartment. She does phone Melissa, gets her answer machine, tells her, go home, I'll meet you there instead.
Yeah.
But who should arrive other than Skinner? Pulls up, tells her to jump in his car.
Yeah.
Says, I'll take you to your sister's, but I need to speak to you.
Yeah.
We need to be in private.
Immediately she's on edge.
You would be, wouldn't you?
She sort of gets her bag ready to draw a gun if needed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she did go into a sock drawer and take out a gun from her apartment as well. Anyway, Melissa shows up soon after this. Scully's apartment, where we know she's not there anymore. And as she enters, she is shot.
Yeah, I was not expecting this.
No, this
that was the first
shocked me.
It was the first big shock of X-Files, or first sudden death, as we find out later on.
Well, she's shot by a man who I now know his name to be Lewis Cardinal. But he is an accomplice of one Alex Krycek. Now,
I didn't notice it in this episode, but he's sporting a new hairdo.
He is sporting a new hairdo. Again, we're not going to jump too much into next episode, but he's very rebel without a cause now.
He is, isn't he? Yeah.
Wow.
I thought that, yeah.
I hope he stays in it, because I do like him as a character, and I do hope we get to see it. I wouldn't mind seeing, like, a sort of man with no cut. What's the phrase? Man with no nation or something like that.
He's just like a renegade on both sides. Yeah. He's not fighting for anyone.
Because he's got nobody to fight for. He's on his own side. You know what I mean? I would like to see that. I don't know whether they will go down that route.
I get the feeling. See, I don't want to say I think he'll be in it more, because we thought that for the guy who got shot, the crew cut man.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say, he's definitely going to be in it for like 2 series, and then he gets shot in like the next 3 episodes.
I feel like he's got a lot of character development though, so far.
Definitely after what happens. Again, we're jumping ahead too much.
We are, yeah. We should stick to just this episode.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can tell by Krycek's reaction there, they expected it to be Scully.
Yeah.
He literally says, looks like he's made a mistake, and they say, let's leave. Just leave her there on the floor. Meanwhile, after taking Skinner to Mulder's apartment, Scully tells him to go in first and then holds him at gunpoint.
Yeah.
Escorts him to the sofa, tells him to sit on his hands, and basically saying, I know why you're here, I'm not going to let you kill me, who are you working for, whose lackey are you?
Yeah.
And Skinner is saying that he's not there for anyone, he wants to talk to her, he needs to tell her something, he's not following any orders. But there's a shadow outside.
Yeah.
And Skinner takes this opportunity to draw his gun, pointed at Scully. They're now sort of locked.
Is it a Mexican? I guess not a Mexican standoff until there's 3.
Yeah.
Just a standoff.
Yeah. Basically, they're in this sort of standoff at the moment. Skinner does tell Scully that he's in possession of the digital tape. He does tell her where he got it. I think this was before he drew his gun, to be fair.
Yeah.
But he does tell her that where he got it from, so he sort of gives himself that bit of sort of. She knows he must be telling the truth because he knew where it was.
Yeah.
But we end the episode with both of these people pointing their guns at each other.
And some unknown figure at the door.
At the door, yeah.
A great cliffhanger.
I loved this cliffhanger. Yeah. Honestly, it made me want to watch the next episode straight away, which I literally did. I put it on straight away because I want to know, what's going on here? Even with my sort of undying trust of Skinner, I still thought, this is strange.
Is there a twist in the tale there? And yeah. So, yeah.
So what did you think of the episode? That's the end.
I thought it was a good opening to the series again. It had this big cliffhanger ending to hook you to the next episode. It had quite a major death, I thought, in Melissa. I know she's not a major character, but I think she's major in the implications of like the plot.
Yeah, and how it will affect main characters.
Exactly, yeah. I thought the plot was a bit middling, to be honest, in this episode, mainly with the story of Mulder's storyline, I guess. Scully's was a lot more filled out, I suppose. But it felt they were just like moving pieces around to set up the next episode.
Yeah.
The effects were a bit weird, as we mentioned. But yeah, it's 24 years old, so I'm not going to be too harsh on it. But yeah, like, I didn't think it was the best opener. But it was a good reintroduction to it, and like I said, it was setting everything back up for next week's episode, knowing that it was a 3-parter, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Knowing it was a 3-parter, I gave it a lot more leeway than I probably would have if it was a single episode.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot less than you, I think. I thought it dragged. I thought it had a major pacing issues, to be honest with you, and I think if they could have got away with a 15-minute mini episode in between the 2 seasons, this would have been perfect. That's all it needed. It just needed that sort of, how do we get from A to B and tell 2 main stories on either side of this episode. Obviously they can't do that. They had to have a full episode, and I just felt like the pacing was really weird, which is why I think you had those long drawn-out scenes with Mulder, which didn't really add anything to it.
They were the parts where I was sort of wishing it would move forward faster. Like, the Scully parts were great, but yeah, the Mulder parts did.
Yeah, like, what did it achieve? Like, this is my issue with it. Like, we came out of that where Mulder's come out having this out-of-body experience, and he's learned to search for the truth. That's what Mulder does anyway. That's what he's always done. He doesn't need to be told that from ghostly figures. You know what I mean? So I think it was just drawn out. Yeah. But again, cutting forward beyond this episode, as a trilogy, I really enjoyed all 3. So I think if you watched it like a film, I'd enjoy it more. But this was as it was, and I thought the ending was great. So let me just put that in there. Yeah, exactly. I think. Yeah, being the middle episode, it was always going to have these kind of issues, I thought. Yeah. Hey-o, it was, it weren't as... It was a decent starter to the series, I thought anyway. Yeah, I think if you put the 2 together, I think it's a great start to the series. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I hope when it initially aired, it was a double bill. Maybe, possibly, yeah. That would have been the best way to do it, but... Well, who knows? If you watched it live, let us know. Was it a double bill? How did they show it, to be fair? Because, now a lot of shows have double bill finales, don't they? I know recently, it's back on tonight, the night that we're recording, Handmaid's Tale starts again. And in America, I don't know what channel it is, I think it's Hulu, the first 3 episodes are on at the same time. Well, not at the same time, but they're on, on the same day. See, I like that. It gives you a good boost into the series, but then it does feel slow after. When next week you're like one episode, then another. So, definitely. I don't know. I'm sort of. There's sometimes I like it, and then sometimes I'm like, but yeah, it gives you too much. Yeah, but who knows?
Luke's production notes.
Series creator Chris Carter felt that this was one of his favourite episodes to write, as he found it interesting to explore how the character of Fox Mulder would react to the death of his father. Carter had recently lost a parent himself when he began working on the episode. Did he react to it? I thought that they mentioned this in the 3rd episode. about him not being able to cope with knowing stuff about his dad and stuff like that. But I felt like he just ploughed on. He just kept going.
He dealt with not knowing who his dad was. I don't think they ever really dealt with the death.
Yeah.
Or
It felt like...
Maybe it was subtle, but I didn't see anything like that.
Too subtle for me. To
Yeah.
To me, it just felt like he just kept going. Like he was just dominated by the job. You know, like some people do, like after they've lost something, or something, they just keep working to not think about it.
Maybe it is a subtle, like, little note. So, like, maybe it was throwing himself into his work, becoming more dedicated to the cause to try and block that out. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, true. Frank Spotsnitz said of the episode, the expectations were very high coming after a summer's worth of anticipation to see how Mulder got out of the boxcar. We knew we had to answer that question and still leave an intriguing enough dilemma at the end of the show to bring viewers back for the third and final part. I always thought it was a big gamble to do all that Indian mysticism stuff. I thought a lot of people would not necessarily respond to it, so I was nervous about that, but very excited about the Scully storyline and the way all of that played out with Mulder and Skinner. So basically, he sort of wasn't convinced about...
Yeah, you know what? That's pretty much spot on of how I felt about the episode. So, they knew what was going on.
Yeah. Because, Frank Spotsnitz wasn't involved in the actual, like, writing part or the directing part, so I guess...
Yeah.
I guess he was one of the showrunners, though, so he would have known about it, but...
Yeah, and he would have had his input.
Yeah. Carter attended Navajo chants and rituals to ensure the accuracy of the events in the episode after being alerted to inaccuracies in the previous episode by Navajo scholars.
Oh, okay. Wonder what the inaccuracies was.
We didn't cover it in any...
No, I don't remember it being in the production notes, but maybe it was just like little bits and bobs.
Yeah. A sand painter was brought in to create the 2 sand paintings for the Blessing Way sequences, which took an entire day to create.
Wow.
That's,
really?
Well, according to the production
Bloody
notes.
hell, okay. Fair enough. I do like that.
Speculation, by the way. I've not verified it.
I do like that attention to detail.
Yeah. I like it when shows do that.
Yeah.
Because
it just adds that edge of realism, doesn't it?
Because you can usually tell. You
can tell when they've gone the extra mile.
The scenes set in New Mexico were filmed in the same Vancouver quarry that had been used as a stand-in in the previous episode, Anasazi, the repainting of which required only minor touch-ups.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, reusing sets, like, easy way to save some money.
Yeah, you can't go wrong there.
And also, if you painted an entire quarry red, you might want to use...
I would do an entire season there.
We haven't left this desert yet. Visual effects producer Matt Beck considered the sequence where Fox Mulder had a vision of Deep Throat and his father the most difficult of the season. I guess, at the time, like, it might have been... I don't know the process. I know nowadays you can do it, like, on a laptop. With
say a bit of green screen and get you sorted.
But then back in the day, like, that would have probably taken a lot of, like...
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? We're not Hollywood producers.
That's a good point.
Or silver screen producers.
Or producers.
I
mean, I suppose we do produce a podcast.
Yeah, sort of. Some of the reviews. No. The end of the episodes reads, In Memoriam, Larry Wells, 1946 to 1995. Wells was a costume designer on the show. Mark Snow slightly changed. Now, I didn't pick up on this at all. Mark Snow slightly changed the piano melody from the opening theme music and the corresponding shortened theme in the credits from the first 2 seasons in this episode. The music would remain unchanged for several years. Did you notice a change in the intro music?
I didn't notice in the slightest.
No. Sorry, Mark.
I will pay attention to it next time I watch it, though. But yeah, no, I didn't.
I didn't notice it, but yeah, maybe we have to listen to one and then the other.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe the versions that we watch have already been. Do you know? Sometimes they go back and retroactively change the intro. I don't know if they have.
I'm gonna have to give that a listen. See.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. And the final note, this is the first episode where Mitch Pileggi is credited under also starring in the opening credits.
He's Skinner.
Skinner, yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So
he's getting a major role now.
Yeah, which is good news, I find.
Certainly is.
So that's all the production notes for today.
Superb. Well, obviously, with it being a new episode of a new season, feedback, we've not really got any feedback for you this week. We do encourage everyone to send us tweets or emails. It's mostunwantedpodcast@gmail.com. Or you just type in Most Unwanted Podcast and you can find us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah. And it's all in the link, the notes below.
Yeah, you'll be able to find us pretty easily. So we do encourage you all to just get in touch. Let us know what you thought about the episodes, what you thought about the podcast, anything really, and we'll just join in the conversation. I did want to mention a few things that whilst we was away that people got in touch with us about. Just a foray of people saying hashtag Luke no, hashtag Luke wrong.
I was hoping we forgot about this.
No, we haven't forgot about that. Because you made a claim that technically we've seen Mulder's sister, and the world said no, Luke.
The world said no.
No,
well,
we have not.
Look, I'll accept their verdict, and I'm not going to dispute it. I'm not bitter.
You seem bitter.
No, I'm not bitter. So I was pretty much just paraphrasing what's his name from the O.J. Simpson thing. Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong.
Yeah, I think everyone has pointed that out quite clearly. There was one more tweet that I wanted to just quickly mention. It was in relation to our top 5 episodes.
Okay, yeah.
And Kathy got in touch and basically said, we mentioned that we don't know how it can get much better and what episodes are going to lose. And this tweet genuinely scared me because...
Oh yeah, I remember this on there.
Kathy got in touch saying, good luck picking just 5 favourites moving forward. I can't even commit to top 25 without getting too spoilery. I'll tell you I have a 5-way tie for my all-time favourites and you haven't seen any of them yet. But 2 of them are in season 3.
Oh my.
How am I going to choose... which ones am I going to get? I don't know. I don't know which ones I'm going to let go of my top 5. I really don't. So it's going to have to be spectacular. But I have faith in the X-Files.
Sorry, I've just had a look at all those tweets saying hashtag Luke wrong. Thanks, Ray, for sticking up for me. Don't give up. Yeah.
But for this week...
Yeah. Oh, before we go, we did mention we were going to quickly just go over Game of Thrones, the finale.
Oh, yes.
Thoughts. So... if you've not seen it yet, I mean, you probably don't care about Game of Thrones if you've not seen it yet.
Yeah, good point.
But you know, we don't want to be the spoilers, so spoilers are after that.
This is a spoiler zone that we're in now.
This is the After Dark section. This is our spicy hot take. Not even hot take, they're kind of lukewarm takes.
It was like 4 weeks ago, wasn't it? So...
yeah. In the bin takes, these are.
What did you think of the final episode and the finale?
Episode. So, it's hard to look at it without looking at the final series as a whole, because I think, as a whole, it had some really impactful, like, parts to it, and really, like, I don't know, like, there's episodes and, like, scenes and stuff where it's like, that is, like, a pivotal, like, Game of Thrones moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot where it just sort of skipped to parts, and I think that's the biggest issue with this last series, and to an extent the series before. They needed more time to sort of make everything
Completely
sit.
agree. Lack of time was the biggest issue for me as well.
But as I mentioned, watching that making of documentary, I don't think they could have done any more episodes.
No.
They were literally pushed to breaking point in like the production of it.
Yeah.
With these 6 episodes, so it's like, I think they've built it up as Game of Thrones initially started, and I think there was a graph recently of like the amount of words per episode.
Yeah, I saw that.
The first series was a lot of talking, and then every now and again an impactful like action scene would happen, and then this. By like series 6, you have like full on Lord of the Rings style battles going on.
Yeah,
which costs time, money, effort, and in the end they want to have 2 or 3 of those basically in the last series, and it's like. You can understand why their budget was like...
Yeah, definitely. I do agree with you. I think they needed a lot more time.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the season, and I want that to be clear and out there. I really enjoyed the season. I wasn't let down by it at all. I thought the last episode was weak.
Yeah.
I have issues don't get me wrong, I have flaws. And not the flaws everyone's going on about, to be honest. Bran becoming king, he's not my favourite character. But I didn't have so much of a problem with it. I did have problems with every black character becoming a bad guy.
Yeah.
I had an issue with that. Like every black character suddenly became a savage.
Yeah, it did like sort of swing that way, and it sort of there was somebody made the argument that basically because there were so few characters, they had to represent everything for any minorities,
which is always dangerous.
Yeah, because then if they do anything, it's like you're tarnishing a lot of minorities with just that one character.
Yeah.
So it's sowed the seeds for that for a while. Because
of course, and I understand the difficulties of it, but even like characters like Missandei, who was this lovely sweetheart, her dying words was to burn the city, basically, and I just every single black character, I don't know, I had an issue with that, but I can put that aside. I mean, I can't put that aside, but you've got to sort of look past it, and you've got to just hope that wasn't intended.
Yeah.
As a story itself, I enjoyed it. I thought they could have done it with a lot more time, and I think that could have solved a lot of the issues.
I think,
but I do think that last episode was weak. I will say that, and in defence of everyone that doesn't like it, and before I get tweets telling me how bad it is, I thought the last episode was weak.
Are you telling me you didn't sign the petition to remake the series?
I did not sign that petition. I'm quite happy to have that as my Game of Thrones.
Can we stop petitions?
Oh, God, it's so embarrassing.
I understand that like there is an actual reason for petitions, you know what I mean? Like petitions do, like especially when it's government stuff. When people are making petitions for the government to talk about building a Death Star, you think, okay, we've gone too far. Like this is just like ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind, but just before we end the episode, I'd like to just make a quick note beforehand. I'm not going to say this is an original thought. I heard this on another podcast. If anything, the series really got me excited for the books.
Yeah,
because I've read not all the books. I've read I think 4 of the books.
Yeah.
And we know that that's George R. R. Martin's at least close to what he's expecting it to be.
I get the feeling how it ended is pretty much bang on how it's going to end.
I think so too. At least with Dany and Bran.
Yeah.
I think those 2 key things will happen. But with the time that George R. R. Martin has to write those and have the inner monologue and take his time with it, and I think that's going to be fantastic. Yeah. I really do think it's going to be amazing in the books. Not to say that the series didn't do it justice, but I mean the books. The reason why they're so popular in the first place is because they are absolutely phenomenally written, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to the books now.
See, I have that weird thing, don't I, where I don't know if I've ever explained it to you before. Once I've got one version of a story, unless it was absolutely diabolical, I'm done with that story. Like,
yeah,
I love Lord of the Rings. I'll never read the books, like because I've got
books
the
are a tough ask.
To be fair, that's a bad example, I suppose. But I don't know. Like,
what about Harry Potter?
No, I read the first 3 books, and then the film started coming. I was like, just watch films. Like
that seems mad to me. Yeah, that does seem mad.
Once I've got one version of the story, unless it's radically different, This is just. I know this is a problem with me. Yeah. I know this is a weird. Everybody else.
It's not a problem. Yeah, it's the way you like to enjoy media.
I just have no interest in the story if I've already heard a version of it that's similar enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because I know Lord of the Rings. Just going back to that again, or even Harry Potter. I know there are extra stuff because I've read the first 3 books and I've watched the first 3 films. I know there's a lot that is different, but ultimately the story's pretty much the same.
Yeah, you know what's going to happen.
So I'm like, well, I know what's going to happen. So I've got no interest. I'm like, I don't need to. I know that there's a lot more texture and depth in the book, and there's a lot more that you can get from the book.
I feel like I sort of understand going from film to book because a book takes a lot more time and motivation to get through. And if you've seen the film and you know the story, dedicating that much time is a commitment. But for like, if a book's the film, are you the same that way? Because a film takes an hour and a half to watch. If I've read like, let's keep on Harry Potter.
What do you mean? Yeah.
So if say let's keep the Harry Potter theme. If I've read Goblet of Fire, which is like 700 pages, watching the film, I can't wait to watch the film anyway because it's 3 hours. It's not taking too much of my time. Does that bother you? Or are you just done with that as well?
I don't know. Like, if I'd have... I mean, I have done it. So I've read the first 3 books and then I watched the first 3 films. Well, I was like a lot younger when I did that. So, I don't know. Do you know what it is now? Lack of time. So I just think I've already got my fill of that story.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. Like, these days I'd probably just jump on and just like go, I'll watch the next film.
Yeah.
I just skip back and be like, I've got that.
Oh, interesting.
It's weird. I was thinking about this recently. Like, everyone's talking about remakes of like of comic books and stuff like that. Not so much the Marvel ones because I feel I don't know why I've invested myself in the Marvel films and comics. Like that doesn't bother me. The DC like stuff. Everyone's talking about like, oh, the new Batman. What's he going to be like and stuff like that. I'm like, I couldn't care. Couldn't care less. Like it might be great or something like that. But I've just been reading Scott Schneider's like Batman run. I'm like, I've got Batman. I don't care about the film version of it at the moment. I mean, don't get me wrong. I might see the trailer and go, okay, actually, well,
and if everyone tells you it's like a phenomenal film, you'll go see it.
I'd never be like, oh, I don't need that because I've got this. Like, I'm never dismissive like that. But I just think I've got enough of one thing or something like. Like I said, it all comes down to time these days, and it's like, that's why I like games and stuff because they tend to not get remade into stuff because if they do, they tend to be shit.
Yeah. And on that bombshell, I think we should end it there.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. So, final thoughts on Game of Thrones.
Thumbs up from me.
Thumbs up. Yeah,
I think it's provided 10 years of absolutely phenomenal content.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I think earlier, for me, it's about the journey, not the end. Yeah. So, thumbs up. It was good overall with a bit of a flat ending. But,
perfect.
Yeah.
All right. That's.
Oh. Come back in there if you still want to see it.
Bye.
Cut that bit. I'm not fucking having an into the next bit. A tweet came up at the same time, so my brain just went into autopilot.
I'm not gonna say